Love it. Let's get petty, baby.
That Tunanio, baby.
Yeah,
Tunani and my punani.
Ew.
fucking cunt reeked. Okay.
Also, loss of physical functioning.
I lost mine years ago.
Yeah, you're ahead of the game.
Yeah, I'm good. Don't treat people like shit,
Yeah.
period.
Would be great.
Because, like, in rare occasions, you can end up with this situation. You never know who you're
Anyone.
sleeping next to. You never know. I don't allow old people into my home, so I don't have this problem. You hear what you want to hear. That doesn't mean we said any of that.
I just want ghosts. You're putting a
she
real
went on the-
damper on my good day.
It gets worse.
Viewer discretion is advised. Come on!
You are listening to Wine and Crime, the podcast where three friends chug wine, chat true crime, and unleash their worst Minnesotan accents.
Oh,
Yeah.
Gal.
gal.
And revel in spooky season.
It's here, people.
Oh, yeah.
God, my
Yeah.
case is so creepy.
Thank
So-
God.
So
I
I
mean,
mean,
there aren't,
in like a really serious, dark way.
Yeah,
obviously.
same. There aren't like ghosts and ghouls, but I triggered myself while writing it.
I have very real ghouls come to life,
good.
but not in a
Ooh.
woo way.
Not in a
Great.
fun way.
Not in a
Not
fun
in a
way.
fun way.
My case isn't fun at all. Turn this off.
Yeah, boo. Bye. Special thanks.
Speaking of ghouls and terribleness, I'm Kenyan.
I'm
Holy
Lucy.
shit. I was not sure where that was going. I'm Amanda. Way to remember your name. I love it.
Yay!
Good work.
We have a very special gals pick this week because we are continuing into Hog Girl Fall.
Hog Girl Fall is here, babes.
Oh,
It's
yeah.
never enough.
Here.
Hot Girl Summer just lives on in another form. It's gone through a metamorphosis.
I'll
Right.
never let it go.
I mean, I'm glad that summer is done.
Oh, yeah.
Because I don't love the heat. But I will never, the hog girl will always be present in my heart, my hog heart.
I got
Hog
to put
heart.
on socks with like little grippy bottoms
Ooh,
over
nice.
my leggings last night. And
Cute.
it was like,
Hospital socks.
they weren't hospital socks, but they were elevated hospital socks.
Got it.
Got him at the Grippy house.
Did you put that padding up on your walls too? A little
And
home renovation?
It's just so nice.
Fresh
I
out
love
the
it.
Grippy house.
it. Fresh out that padded old grippy house.
She escaped, lol.
Speaking of escapees, actually, of a
Oh,
padded old
God.
grippy house, we have selected the topic of nursing home nonsense.
Yes.
Lucy
Yeah.
basically liked the alliteration, as did
Yep.
we.
Mhm.
And
I think I just called my grandma, who doesn't live in a nursing home. She lives in an apartment.
Mhm. Like a retirement community.
It's a
but only
community.
a matter of time.
Mhm. Oh.
I don't know. She is one sturdy bitch. She grew up with like 1,000 siblings during the Great Depression, like the Dust Bowl.
Yeah,
Mhm.
she's been through it.
She's gonna live forever.
She's seen some shit.
She's fine. She's a
How old is she now?
She just turned 93 yesterday.
Congrats to
Mazel
her.
tov.
She has a full garden on her tiny little patio,
Oh, cute.
and she has a best friend named Alfreda.
My God.
God, what a pleasant life.
I know.
That is so pleasant. She deserves it. Good for her.
Right. Well, there you go. Nursing home nonsense. Amanda, what is our wine crime pairing?
Well, I really wanted to pick a beverage that old people are fucking obsessed with, but I didn't want to drink Metamucil.
Sanka.
Yeah. No. So I've paired a Tom Collins this week.
Yeah.
I love a Tom Collins.
You and everyone over 70.
Yes, they're good.
They are good. I love a gin cocktail.
I don't know what's in a Tom Collins, so
I'll
I'm
teach
excited
ya.
to hear
About to
about
find
it.
out.
And I mean, I'm not one to talk. My signature cocktail at my wedding was a gimlet. So, like, I'm also an
Yeah.
elderly woman.
At least it's
but,
not a Pim's cup.
yeah, no, that's kind of where I draw the line.
Some sherry.
Ooh, yerm.
Mm.
But I was very unfamiliar with the legacy of the Tom Collins, so I took to Wikipedia, and here are some highlights. The earliest publication, like in a cocktail book, of any type of Collins, because a Collins and a fizz are like similar styles, and then if there's like a slightly different ingredient, it might be like a different name, so it might be like a Harry Collins.
They're variations on a theme.
Exactly.
So it's not a person named Tom Collins.
I didn't see that it was attributed to an individual Tom Collins, and we'll kind of get to it.
Okay.
So the earliest publication of any Collins, as well as any fizz recipe, are both located in the same book, Harry Johnson's 1882 New and Improved Bartender's Manual.
Harry Johnson's.
Harry Johnson,
Wow.
disgusting. Or How to Mix Drinks of the Present Style.
Wow.
This is also a reflection on how fucking bored and starved for entertainment we were in the 1800s.
Yep.
So the Tom Collins, they think the cocktail came from this like hoax. They call it a hoax, but it really was just a trend, and it's really fucking stupid. In 1874, people in New York, Pennsylvania, and elsewhere in the United States,
Specific.
somewhere, would start a conversation with, "Have you seen Tom Collins?" After the listener predictably reacts by explaining they don't know a Tom Collins, the speaker would assert that Tom Collins was talking about the listener to others like behind their back, and that Tom Collins was just around the corner or at the local bar or somewhere else nearby.
So it
Go
was
catch him.
So it was a prank?
It was a prank. It was basically the first version of "I'm so glad that you're here" at a party.
I'm really happy that you're here.
Have
I
you
just
seen
want you
Tom
to know.
Collins? He was just talking shit about you, and he just left and
You
went
better go
to the
find
bar.
him. He's
You gotta
at
go fucking
this
find him.
bar.
This is so
Mhm.
boring.
It's so boring. The conversation about the non-existent Tom Collins was a proven hoax of exposure. In the great Tom Collins hoax of 1874, as it became known.
what the fuck?
I did not editorialize this at all.
Was it like a viral marketing thing so people would like go to that establishment?
Yeah, what's the point?
It was something to do, you guys. There were a couple of little hoaxes like this with different things. There was one about there was a hoax about like a zoo, like the New York Zoo, and it got like published in the paper. It was just like everyone was bored and their life expectancy was like 50 years.
Yeah.
So we didn't have time to come up with any really great entertainment in 1874, apparently.
Wow.
In particular, the speaker
God.
intended the listener to become agitated at the idea of someone talking about them to others, such that the listener would rush off to find the purportedly nearby Tom Collins, who, of course, didn't exist.
It was Impractical Jokers without a camera.
correct, and somehow worse, if that's possible.
Somehow. Which is a really, really high bar to set.
Yeah, seeing as how Impractical Jokers is the worst shit
Ever
on
made.
television and beyond.
We should try this today.
The Tom Collins
Like organically,
hoax.
be like, hey, Blortney,
Hey, do you know Tom Collins?
do you know Tom Collins?
Have
He's
you
been
talked to
talking
Tom?
shit about you.
Yeah.
He's at the Holiday across the street right now.
Oh my God. He's at the Emma Crumbies getting pie right now. You should fucking get your ass down there. Beat his ass. Fucking Emma Crumbies.
It's the only way that I know I'm
Restaurant?
near her house.
Yeah.
It's a beacon.
It is a beacon.
It is a beacon.
Anyway, so all that is really stupid. But here's the original recipe of the Tom Collins. They advise you to use an extra large bar glass for like the mixing part.
Love it already.
And you add 3/4 tablespoon of sugar. So 3/4 of a tablespoon of sugar, I
Good
guess.
luck.
Wouldn't that just Be like a teaspoon and a half.
Girl,
whatever.
Your guess is as good as mine. 3 or 4 dashes of lime or lemon juice. 3 or 4 pieces of broken ice.
This person needs to get their amounts, their volume.
No, it's perfect. I
Straight.
love this. 1 wine glass full of Old Tom gin.
They're
There's
like,
the
use
Tom.
this vessel, but
Oh,
a
yeah, there's the
different
Tom.
size of it.
1
use
bottle
this receptacle, but not all of it.
Broken ice.
broken ice. 1 bottle of plain soda water. Mix up well with a spoon. Remove the ice and serve. Attention must be paid not to let the foam of the soda water spread over the glass.
All right, so gin, sugar, lime,
And soda
water.
Yeah,
I
it
would
sounds
love that.
fucking delicious.
It's basically like a gin with 7-Up and some lime. That's
Or
what
not
it is.
7-Up. It's like simple syrup and fresh lime or lemon. But yes,
It's
if you want to be
that's
gross,
essentially
you can
what it
use
is.
7-Up. But if you want it to be good,
Okay.
you can use soda water, simple syrup, and lime.
Okay. Flavor wise, that's what it is.
Cool.
Super not. But okay, that's what it is. Cheers, everyone.
Fresca.
Sick.
Gin and Fresca.
What ish? I'm gonna fucking barf.
They're delicious. I
Okay,
can't believe you've
y'all.
never had one. It's
I
right up
probably
your
have.
alley.
Gin
I
and
just-
Fresca?
I just can't remember cocktail recipes. I never bartended. They go in one ear and out the other.
Mm-hmm.
When we're in Dallas, we'll get you a Tom Collins.
Fuck
They are really,
yeah.
really good.
Mm-hmm.
That's the perfect drink for Dallas.
They made a Phil Collins at a distillery near my house, and they use house-made aquavit instead of gin, and it was really good.
Absolutely
That's
not.
what I can't do.
I love aquavit.
Oh, I'm
Y'all are-
salivating.
Y'all are
You're
tragic.
so Swedish.
No,
Go
I can't.
enjoy your gin and Fresca.
You're so
you-
French Canadian.
I am, and I'm proud of it, even if my grandma wasn't and kept it a family secret.
Hit it like a secret love child. Okay, moving on. Cheers, everyone.
Yeah, I'm obviously not drinking because we started our day recording at like 11 a.m., so not happening.
No.
Cheers! I also choked on like the seed on the bottom of an English muffin this morning.
And wet her pants.
And basically in the process, pissed myself a tiny bit. But,
But like,
it's
what is
fine.
that? They can't be seeds. But
No,
what,
it's like it's
it's
like
that
when they
thick
put
flour.
it's like
Yeah.
when they put cornmeal on the bottom of like
Mhm.
pizzas to
It's
get the
cornmeal.
char.
Yeah.
That's why I hate English muffins. I really
No, I love
hate
English
it.
muffins, but that really fucked me this morning. I don't know. I haven't recovered yet.
The first like
I'm
6
not okay.
minutes of our phone call was just her
Like
gagging.
hacking up a lung
coughing.
and coughing so hard that I was like literally gagging. It was awful.
Okay. Well,
We all have
cheers.
trauma.
Lucy, what is our background and maybe psych for nursing home nonsense?
I'm having a great day. Okay.
Oh.
Where's my
Don't
notes? Here
choke
we
on
go.
an English muffin and ruin your day. Just saying.
No, I had a bacon Gouda souffle from Caribou, and those are
Fucking yum.
fucking good. Okay. A nursing home is a facility care, usually long term, for patients who are not sick enough to be in the hospital, but who aren't able to stay at home for whatever reason. Today's nursing homes generally play a more active role in healthcare and quote unquote rehabilitation, although you can't be rehabilitated from old age, but you know.
No, but my dad, when he had his leg amputated, he needed like a couple extra months of rehabilitation, and he actually did that in a nursing home.
There you go. They got the facilities set
Yep.
up for
and
it.
they fucking loved him. He brought the average age down by like 60 years. But he had the mind, heart, and soul of a much older man.
of their oldest resident.
And
Yeah.
joke repertoire.
Yeah. He was a
Fit
hit.
right in.
He was a hit.
No, but they don't. They're not like, well, you're gonna be here until you die. You might as well just lay in bed. It's like, oh, we'll do some exercises.
physically
and-
active
Yeah,
and-
yeah.
Yeah. Activities.
While improving prospects for the chronically disabled.
Mm-hmm.
They also help conserve hospital facilities and resources for the acutely ill. So if you need to be in the hospital, there's room in a hospital.
Mm-hmm.
And it's not just being taken up by people who should
My
be in
dad.
nursing homes. Yeah,
Mhm.
your dad.
Mhm.
That said, there is still a wide variety when it comes to the quality of care and nursing home facilities, and there is always a potential for abuse.
Mm-hmm. Elder abuse is nuts.
Well, we're
sad
about
and
to
it's so
touch on it.
pervasive.
Pervasive. That's the word.
I'm going to talk about it a little bit because it is sad to dwell on, but it is important to recognize, and people don't really talk about it very often.
Yeah.
Mhm.
It's estimated that as many as 5 million people are affected by elder abuse every year.
Mm.
Here's a breakdown of nursing home abuse complaints from the National Center for Victims of Crime. So 29% of these complaints are related to physical abuse.
Mhm.
22% are resident-on-resident abuse, either
Mhm.
physical
Oh.
or sexual.
We
Shit.
talked about that in centenarian crimes.
Yeah,
Yes.
we did cover some cases of resident on resident crime.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, because the one guy got the window bed.
Yep, that was one of my
Yeah.
cases.
Yeah.
Killed his
I
little roommate.
You're you're in very close quarters with
Yeah,
other people for extended periods of time. There are bound to be some disagreements.
Kerfuffles, yep.
Yeah.
21% involve psychological abuse. 14% involve gross neglect. 7% involve sexual abuse, not by another resident. And 7% involve financial exploitation,
Mhm.
which 7% for financial exploitation sounds really
Feels
low.
Yeah.
Mhm.
7% known, I would say.
Yeah,
It's
reported.
probably higher than that.
These are the complaints, so they're the
Right.
reported ones.
Right.
66% of reported victims are female. Individuals who have suffered from past trauma are more likely to be victimized. And as you could guess, socioeconomics play a role as well. So, for example, people who rely on Medicaid are more likely to end up in lower quality facilities that have less oversight, maybe
More
less
staff turnover.
more staff turnover, less training.
Yeah.
You know, not great.
All of the things. Because capitalism.
Yep.
Yeah, we'll get to it. It's estimated that nearly 50% of elders with dementia experience abuse or neglect, which is so sad.
That's horrifying.
Abusers can include family members. 2/3 of reported abusers are either their spouse or their adult children.
Mhm. Especially when it comes to
2/3.
financial abuse. Like, I hear horror stories about elderly folks with dementia being victims of financial abuse by their surviving families,
Yeah.
Mhm.
like not infrequently.
Including being put in low quality care
Mm-hmm.
Yep.
in
And
order
then they
for their
manage
heirs
their
to save money.
accounts and just bleed them for all their fucking have left, basically.
Oh, that's so sick.
Ugh. And then you can gaslight a lot of these people and be like, well, you must have spent that, grandma.
Yeah, it's hard
They
enough
don't
to keep
fucking know.
control of your finances when you
Yeah.
are a digital native and not suffering from dementia.
Right.
Yeah. An elderly person who I will not name got really into internet poker
Mhm.
and didn't realize that she was spending actual
Real money.
money.
Oh
Mhm.
no.
Yeah.
Mhm.
Oh no.
She got her iPad taken away. Okay. Abusers can also include nursing home staff members, and a 2020 WHO study found that over 64% of nursing home staff members admitted to committing some form of abuse or neglect.
What?
Holy shit.
That's just the ones who admitted it. 64%.
What?
Mm-hmm. But again,
I'm guessing that the question wasn't framed as, do you ever abuse or neglect your residents?
patients,
it
yeah.
was more like,
it was probably like,
have
do
you ever ignored a
call
Call
button or,
yeah.
yeah.
And I think a lot of this has to do with, again, the quality of the nursing homes and the maybe staff shortages so that people are overworked.
Yep.
And
It's like, of course I'm
underpaid.
neglecting my patients. I can't get to all of them. I have way too many.
These
Right.
for-profit nursing homes can be, and we'll get to it, but they
Yeah,
can
it's
be
not all
really-
malicious, to be honest.
it's
lot
a
of it is.
combination of all the above. It's
Yeah.
like, I'm sure there are some people who like are predators and will
Yes.
go into that career field because they want access to vulnerable people.
Absolutely.
And then there are other people who are extremely well-intentioned and great
And just
people
do
and
not have
just
the resources.
are not given those resources by the companies and corporations
Right.
that hire
to provide
them.
proper care.
Yeah.
But I don't believe that 64% of nursing home staff intentionally
Right.
set out maliciously to abuse
That's what I'm
people.
saying.
That just-
I think, Kendon, you must be right. That the
Yeah.
way they framed the question had to reveal some kind of neglect or abuse.
that the respondent does not realize is being categorized as neglect.
or maybe,
abuse.
yeah, I mean, I don't know. Maybe they do. But like, I just can't imagine
Have you
64%
ever
of
raised
people.
your voice to a patient? Like there
Precisely.
I'm speculating, but like,
I want to see the survey.
yeah.
Well, it's a World Health Organization survey, so you can
Damn.
probably Google it. And also abuse by other nursing home residents. So nursing homes have an interesting history dating back to the 1600s when Europeans brought the concept of almshouses to North America. So almshouses hosted the elderly, orphans, people with disabilities, people with addiction issues, and people without homes. Almshouses didn't provide personalized care. They basically just provided shelter and daily meals. It wasn't like, oh, you have a broken leg. Let's help you
Sure.
get better.
Very, very bare bones
Yeah.
shelter
It's
very
and daily
bare bones.
meals.
It's
Like,
lacking any of the rehabilitative resources that we know today associated with nursing homes.
It's like Oliver Twist shit.
Yeah, it's like
Yeah.
a shack and 3 servings of gruel
Yeah.
is what it sounds like.
I saw one where it was like, and this was common for the period, but it was like you pay a small amount.
Where did you
And-
see this?
I watch a lot of documentaries.
Oh, okay. I thought you were like in one.
No, I watch a lot of
I
documentaries.
visited one.
And basically, it was like this tiered system where it was like if you pay a higher amount, you get a cot on the floor to sleep
holy
on for the
shit.
night. If you can't afford that, then you get some straw on the floor
Like
to
a
sleep
straw
on.
mat.
And for those who can barely afford to pay at all, you have to sleep sitting up all night on a wooden bench with other people, and there's a rope in front of you to prevent you from falling off the bench.
Oh my God.
But you're not allowed to sleep lying down.
Oh.
That is torture.
You're
Yep.
better off outside.
Well,
Mhm.
Not in the winter.
yeah.
My God.
Oh God.
Yeah.
That's horrific.
They should have
Cool.
just moved to Florida.
Oh my
They
God.
should have just not been poor.
Yeah, why didn't they just pull themselves up by their bench strap
No.
and fucking get a cot?
Oh no.
I
Yeah.
think that's a quote from Jeffrey Bezos, from Elon Musk. Ugh.
So these almshouses were run by the county, the village, or government agencies. And this was the primary option for those without money or family. But toward the end of the 19th century, old age homes started to pop up. So specifically for old people.
Mhm.
So this model arose from the concept that the quote unquote worthy poor should not have to go to almshouses with people who dealt with alcoholism or mental illness. They were just old. It wasn't
worthy
their
poor.
fault.
Oh, Jesus, yeah.
So the worthy poor were considered people under circumstances that were not their fault, such as widows, pregnant people, people with quote unquote real disabilities.
Like the ones that you could see versus like
What?
mental illness.
Correct.
The fuck?
or people with no other family members because the family structure was so important to their society.
Mm-hmm.
These new homes were operated by religious and ethnic organizations such as evangelicals, Jewish people, and Nazi Germany, who believed it was their responsibility to care for their own. So, like, you know, you're a Jew. We're run by we are the Jewish people who run this house. We'll take you in to care for
Well,
you,
that's
but
still
we're not
how-
allowing.
Yeah,
How
that's
a lot of charity exists today.
right.
Correct.
Where it's like you have to be part of the in-group to benefit from the charity.
And that's still how a
Yes.
lot of nursing care exist today. Like my grandmother was in Helen was in like a Christian nursing home, and you had to be like, I don't know what paper you had to sign that was like, you're Lutheran or whatever to be in it. But
Yeah.
Or like veterans.
right. There's tons of organizations like that. So it doesn't shock me too much that the Nazis made one too.
No, of course the Nazis had one.
Jesus.
So these houses usually had around 30 to 50 beds, and a fee was associated with living there. So it was a nursing home. This fee would cover food and housing, and those living there would be responsible for their chores, such as making their bed in the morning. Along with the fee, some of these houses also required certificates of good character for these places to separate their own needy poor from, for example, foreigners who would have taken advantage of public charities.
In their eyes.
Yeah, precisely.
This is all in quotes, yes.
Yeah.
During the Great Depression, living conditions worsened in almshouses, which led to mass criticism. This outcry for something new led to the Social Security Act in 1935, including the Old Age Assistance Program, the OAA, which gave money to poor elders to support them.
Yeah, basically, if you're happy that the streets aren't just like littered with old people alone and dying on the sidewalk, thank a Democrat.
At least not as many.
Right.
This program prohibited old age assistance to the residents of public institutions in a move to eliminate almshouses altogether.
Okay.
Many residents moved from almshouses, which were public, to old age houses, which were not public, to qualify for those government subsidies.
Okay.
Many of these private institutions benefited from this program as they could now charge more and profit from those OAA funds. So
there it is.
starts the privatization, getting
Of
money from the
nursing
government.
care.
In 1946, the Hill-Burton Act was passed and gave grants for building nursing homes in conjunction with hospitals because they were like, oh, it'd be really helpful if nursing homes and hospitals had some sort of interplay.
connection.
Yeah. This new act gave the government control over the construction and regulation of nursing homes. So this is when it was decided that the institutions housing older people should focus on providing medical care. What a concept.
Yep.
Adding nursing homes to the healthcare system. Because of this, some of the old age homes became subject to investigation because they were not up to code, because they had to look at them as an extension of the hospital.
Yeah. And
there are a lot more
regulation is
regulations.
important.
Yeah, you need to be accessible for people with disabilities.
And clean.
Yeah.
And,
Yep.
Yeah.
The passage of the Medicare and Medicaid, in 1965 added a new driving force to the growth of the nursing home industry. So today, new nursing home models tend to be smaller, focusing on residents' desires and mental and emotional well-being. Hooray. Nursing homes remain people's primary option if they don't have substantial financial or other resources to take care of them. So it's very expensive to be old and reliant on
Is
others.
insanely expensive.
Uh-huh.
I think from my grandfather, like my family was paying like between $7,000 and $10,000 a month.
Oh, easily.
Yeah.
If you're gonna get like good
10,000 a
care,
month.
yeah.
Ugh, yeah.
Yeah,
And
my
he was
grandma-
in a fantastic facility. It was beautiful. It was like this like woodsy theme. It was gorgeous. But like, fuck, man.
Yeah.
That's a
I mean,
lot of
Helen
money.
was super smart because basically when she was able to move into the home that she ended up in, you could opt to like make an investment in their organization that ran the home. And then if you made a specific investment, like even if you ran out of all of your money, they could like never kick you out because you had invested in that organization.
Insurance.
Gonna live forever.
Oh my God, she outlived every goddamn dime she had, but they couldn't fucking
I would
do jack
love
shit
to see
about
the
it.
ROI chart for Helen.
Probably high. She moved in like her late 80s.
Everyone hates. Oh, she lived there for like 20 years.
Over like 20 plus years. No joke. Yeah.
How old was
they
she when
were-
she finally died?
She was like a month shy of 103. So we just count it as 103.
Oh no.
Yeah.
That's amazing.
They did not know what they
Some
were.
actuary was pissed.
Yeah. Well,
Yeah, that program has since been axed.
changed.
And discontinued.
been discontinued.
There's the Helen clause.
We passed the Helen clause.
Can't afford this.
the Helen
bitch.
Act.
No
There's
more
the
French
cap.
Canadians.
She's not French Canadian. She's actually
I get your
French.
grandmas mixed up.
Yeah. Eileen was French Canadian.
Yes, Eileen. Okay.
Mm-hmm.
So living in a nursing home can impact a resident's physical and mental well-being. Go fucking figure.
Yeah.
Many older adults may feel isolated and lonely while living in a nursing home, putting them at higher risk of anxiety, depression, illness, and other issues.
Mm-hmm.
Other reasons for a decline in mental health include chronic pain, lack of independence and control over your lifestyle. That would be my big issue.
That'd be hard.
Mm-hmm.
You would hate the fact that there were always people around. Even if they're in another room, there are always people there.
And they're always you don't get to like choose.
Not really.
No. Having to leave home, that would be my biggest issue.
Mhm.
Your own smells, your own things, your own furniture, your own lighting. Everything's been curated for your whole life.
Mm-hmm.
And now you're just stuck in a dorm.
That's why my grandma stayed on the assisted living side because it was like a dual facility.
Mhm.
She stayed on that side for so long because she was just like a creature of her little environment. She had a beautiful apartment that was like all her stuff, but then she
Yeah.
needed the nursing care side and had to move her.
Yeah.
Fucking sucks. Getting old sucks. I do not
Yeah.
want to do it.
I wonder what it's going to be like when we get to
Worse.
this
We have
phase
no
of
fucking
life.
resources and we'll never be able to stop working. So it's going to be hell. It's going to be terrible.
Ours is going to be worse.
It's going to be awful.
Great.
Mm-hmm.
Also, loss of physical functioning.
I lost mine years ago.
Yeah, you're ahead of the game.
Yeah, I'm good.
Etc.
I've made peace
Yeah,
with
Amanda
that
might not
one.
have to worry about this.
Yeah, I made peace
Um,
with that.
This shift in mental health was amplified during COVID when lockdowns were implemented, impeding residents from seeing their loved ones and further isolating them from the outside world. The saddest
The
pictures.
through the window
through the
pictures.
window. They're like
that-
bed is against the window.
We did that with my grandfather.
Yeah.
I was in Minnesota during still like COVID lockdown time. And my mom and uncle and I went to his facility and they would go every week and talk to him through his window. And we like were standing in like snowbanks and bushes and talking through the like open screen window to my grandfather.
That is horrific.
And
the
I mean,
window
that
was open. Doesn't that defeat the purpose?
Well, to talk to us. No, I
Like
mean,
a crack.
Like, yeah, it was, yeah. But
Oh, that's so sad.
Or,
Helen,
like, when
thank God, died before all the COVID, like right before all the COVID stuff happened. I think she was so anxious. She would have been freaking the fuck out.
Or like when a spouse dies and
Yeah.
you can't, and one of them's in a nursing home.
well, my grandpa kept forgetting that there was COVID. And so he didn't
Oh, right.
understand why the visits
We're like that.
were like that and less frequent because
Poppy.
my mom and uncle visited him like multiple times a week before.
Right.
Yeah,
Ugh,
it was tough. And then luckily, like he lived through the lockdown phase, and we got to actually like be in the same room
Right.
as him after we were vaccinated before he passed. But like, it
That
was
a
fucking
horrible
sad.
time. Yeah, that breaks my heart. Sweet Poppy.
I know.
God. So, in addition to the anxiety and depression, isolation also makes the elderly more susceptible to abuse.
Mm-hmm.
And this is why it is important that there are now more smaller nursing homes focusing on mental health because it's a massive cycle and it's all really sad. So, here are a few fun facts.
Oh God.
In 2022, the U.S. nursing home industry was $146.9 billion.
Damn.
Lots of money in nursing homes.
Mm-hmm.
As of 2023, U.S. nursing homes have about 1.4 million residents.
That
And,
seems low to me.
well, yeah,
I don't know.
I don't know.
Okay.
That's just what I found.
I'd also be curious what classifies a U.S. nursing home.
Right. Maybe
if there are
it's not
all these
counting, like,
other care
hospice
facilities.
and assisted living and retirement
Exactly.
and
Yeah, like is a nursing home different from assisted living? Because then that number would make more sense. So what we talked about, nearly 70% of nursing homes are privately owned for-profit businesses and are generally set up as one or more LLCs to shield ownership, making it more difficult for them to be sued. So
That's so fucking sketchy, dude.
nearly 70% are sketchy as fuck. These nursing homes are about 60% more likely to be cited for health and safety violations than nonprofit nursing homes. According to Family Assets, one of the most expensive nursing homes in the U.S. is the Sarasota Bay Club in Florida.
Okay.
This nursing home community starts at a monthly rate of $1,000 to $20,000.
That's a wide gap.
I
maybe
think
that's just the fee? Like not the full cost of all the services?
I mean, it's probably has to do with some like assistance stuff. I'm sure they have like assistance tiers just to look good.
Like maybe you have to pay the $1,000 a month fee as just like a retainer.
Because it sounded like
Maybe
the
on
cot
the list.
situation. For $1,000 a month, you get the bench with the rope. For $20,000, you get the cot and a blanket.
For $1,000 a month, you have to help take care of the lawn.
Yeah, probably. So there is a full bar and lounge, a multi-purpose auditorium and theater, a massage therapy room, a beauty salon, an art studio and woodworking shop.
Oh my God.
Precious.
I want to move in. This sounds awesome.
A custom designed heated pool and a full spa.
That sounds awesome.
I
like a
know. I
hotel.
want to go to Sarasota.
At my grandpa's facility, they all had there was like a cocktail hour, like a happy hour in the main area, and it was I think they just were like, look, the only way we're gonna get these folks to actually interact with each other is if there's booze.
We give them
Alcohol.
a Tom Collins. Yeah.
So they all had
That's fair.
booze
super
lockers in the room where the happy hour was, so they could all like unlock their own locker and have their own alcohol that they owned.
It wasn't even
Cute.
provided by the place. There wasn't
No.
like a bartender. They just had their own
No.
locker.
Yeah.
Were the lockers
That's-
refrigerated?
No.
Got it. But at least they allowed booze. A lot of nursing homes do not let you have any.
No, and I can understand why.
And literally,
Yeah,
my grandfather, I don't
understandably
think
so.
would have ever left his room if it wasn't for. And he was not like, I'm not
No,
talking
but
shit
I'm with
about him,
him.
but he just was like, why do I want to socialize with these people?
Right.
But a happy hour,
Yeah.
sure, I'll go to a happy hour.
Precisely. That's just
Right.
being human.
That's
Right.
where my booze locker is.
Right.
Yep.
So the last thing I want to touch on is something very specific, which my sister's boyfriend. I was on the phone with my sister a few weeks ago, and she was like, hang on, I'm really distracted because Ben is Googling this thing. And I was like, fucking why? So
He's so odd.
he's so odd. So this is the Japanese, it's a thing that the Japanese, of course, have a word for, and that Japanese word is kareishu, which translates literally to the smell of gaining years, aka
yeah.
old person
people
smell.
Oh, no.
It's a real thing.
Yeah, oh, yeah.
So this odor tends to be less intense and unpleasant than the body odors of young and middle-aged people. And I found an entire fucking Scientific American article about this. Quote, new findings suggest that people retain a latent ability to gauge someone's age based on their odor, a talent inherited from evolutionary ancestors that might be linked to the ways that animals recognize the sick and dying.
Oh, my God. Okay.
Or possibly
Don't
just
eat that meat.
or possibly just a natural
Don't eat
underlying
Grandpa.
Do not eat Grandpa. He is not fresh.
just to stay away from them.
I mean,
Yeah. Or possibly just natural underlying cell decay. So researchers have shown that the body odors of some animals, including mice, black-tailed deer, otters, owls, and rabbits, change with age, and that animals can distinguish their young and old peers by smell.
Huh.
Human body odor also changes with age, depending largely on the activity of various skin glands and how the substances they release interact with bacteria.
Also, just like body hair growth, just like stops.
Yeah. It's changes in your skin, essentially, is what it comes down to. So our bodies have different kinds of sweat glands located in different parts of our bodies. And when I say body odor, I'm not just talking about armpits.
Right.
It's your whole body. So these different glands are more active at different times of our lives. Like when you're going through puberty, you reek.
You do. You sure do.
There was a researcher named Johan Lundstrom who in 2010-ish realized that the nursing home that he gave lectures at in the U.S. smelled exactly the same as the nursing home that his mother lived in Sweden.
So it crosses. It's international. It's an international smell.
Yep. So he thought that the residents themselves must be emanating the same odor, that it has nothing to do with like the building or the products that they use or anything like that.
Hear that, Gwyneth? Get on the candle.
Ew.
Old people smell by goop. Oh my
The
God.
vagina candle that I gave to Kenyon for Christmas, it
Did
smells
it blow up?
awful.
It smells like my grandma.
It smells really bad.
It smells like roses, kind of.
overly floral.
Yeah.
It's
Yeah.
not good. And
That-
that is not what her
that-
fucking vagina smells like.
No.
That also raises concerns. You shouldn't be using overly floral scented soaps
No.
on your
Shouldn't be
pH
using
balanced
anything
nethers.
scented down there.
I don't think it
No,
has
no,
anything to
no.
do with her vagina. She just did it to sell candles.
And
yeah,
it
oh,
worked.
absolutely. But
Clearly it worked. That is a $70 candle.
I know.
I can't believe you
I
bought
do love
that.
it. It is a prized possession of mine. It's right over there. I have not lit
God.
it.
That was her Christmas
reeks.
and birthday gift.
That
does
That
reek.
makes sense.
And it'll explode.
Yeah.
Okay, so this researcher did this kind of gross t-shirt armpit experiment with a bunch of different ages and genders and had volunteers smell and rank the t-shirts.
rank.
Funny.
So he had all sorts of people wear these t-shirts to bed for like 5 nights in a row.
Mm-hmm.
And then they had volunteers rank them.
I barely wear a t-shirt to bed twice in a row. I'm a night sweater. I need to switch up.
Well, that's the point. They do a lot of these like t-shirt smell tests, like for like pheromones and like attraction studies.
Mhm.
It's like
No.
a common technique.
Mm-hmm. So here are some of the results. Quote, middle-aged man Musk took top prize for intensity and unpleasantness,
Yeah.
whereas volunteers rated the odors of middle-aged women most pleasant and whiffs of old man as least intense. So they had scales of pleasantness and intenseness and blah, blah, blah.
So maybe
man
when
to me
old
just smells
people
like
come
Old
into
Spice.
our homes, they think we smell bad.
I don't allow old people into my home, so I don't have this problem. I am terrified of the elderly.
Oh my God.
They know too much. It freaks me out. I don't like
What's
it.
that
And I
ho-
don't like seeing my future.
What's that
I'm
horror
sorry.
movie
I'm
about?
ageist.
What's that horror movie about those kids who go to spend like a weekend with their grandparents?
Yeah,
and
The Visit.
yeah,
It's
that's
Shyamalan.
scary.
Yeah. I'm terrified.
That's a very scary
So
movie.
scary.
Okay, so weirdly enough, volunteers had a much harder time differentiating between young and middle-aged, but they knew old person smell when they smelled it. An earlier study found that compared with people aged 25 to 40, people over age 40 have higher levels of a fragrant organic compound known as 2-nonenal in their sweat and on their skin. The
So is it
chemical-
like, here's a room of people, sniff this filthy shirt. How old do you think that person was that made that stink? Was it like an unbiased panel of just like a jury of their peers? Like, who's sniffing the shirts? I'm
Volunteers.
so
Volunteers
confused.
for the research study. When
They
you
probably got
volunteer to
10
be part of a
bucks.
research study, you don't know what the fuck it's going to be. It could be tasting cereal or it could be sniffing old people's shirts.
Yeah.
Oh, God.
Yeah.
No. Absolutely
But they
not.
lure them with like $20.
Yeah.
We'll give you 20
a
bucks
Red
if you
Lobster
come to
gift
this.
card.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It gives
My
people
mom used to
something
do
to
this
do.
for cash.
Mhm.
Not this. but like studies. She
Yeah.
would volunteer for studies all the time for extra cash. They used to pay really well, and now they don't. Now the word has gotten out and the rates have gone way down.
No.
So the chemical, which the researchers described as having an unpleasant grassy or greasy odor, may be a major cause of the deterioration in body odor, which has been observed with aging. In other words, the biological explanation for why older people have a characteristic odor is this chemical. The scent was compared variously to cucumbers, aged beer, and old books.
Yeah.
No, all of those scents are way too
I
pleasant.
could really see, but
The old books.
combined.
Dusty.
Yeah.
Why was Ben sitting around Googling old people smell?
That's what I was. That's why I was so distracted during our whole conversation. I was like, "What did he
Like,
find?"
what prompted that?
Because I got an Airbnb and he's like, "It smells like old people in here. I
Okay,
wonder what that
okay.
smell is." And then he just spent the rest of the night Googling it.
Okay, but that makes perfect sense. That hyperfixation absolutely tracks. I just thought they were at home. It's a casual Sunday afternoon.
No,
She's making pancakes. He's Googling old people smell for no fucking reason.
I mean, it
and
can
then I had
happen.
concerns.
they were at
ADHD.
an Airbnb in Maine.
Okay.
Oh, cool.
How cute are they?
Yeah. Anyway, that's my segment.
Wow.
All over the map a
Unreal.
little bit.
Okay, well, my case, elder abuse makes me too sad.
It's so fucking sad.
Yeah.
And so
I'm terrified of the elderly, but I don't want to abuse them or for harm to befall them.
Right. Well, I wanted to go in a slightly different direction.
Good.
So I went in the direction of sometimes just because someone's old doesn't mean they're a good person.
Mm-hmm. Oh, old people are often terrible.
Right. So I bet the bitch that I'm about to talk about smelled real bad. Okay.
All right. Love it. Let's get petty, baby.
That Tunanio, baby.
Ugh.
Yeah. No.
Tunani and my punani.
Ew.
This fucking cunt reeked. Okay.
Ugh.
On the morning of September 30th, 2021,
That's my birthday 2 years ago.
96-year-old Irmgard Furchner.
Herb Erblinger and his fruit wines.
Irmgard
Herb
Furchner.
Erblinger.
Irmgard Furchner.
That
Wait,
is a
I want to try it. I
name.
want to try it. Okay. It's an I. Okay. Irmgard. Wow. Furchner?
Did I stutter?
I thought she has to be getting this wrong.
No.
I don't know. I don't
I
know
think
what
she hit the
accent was.
knurl on the herd.
Phonetic, I think.
You're knurled her.
Irmgard
Irmgard Furchner. Knurled it.
Slipped out unnoticed from the nursing home where she'd been living for years.
Not her nursing home.
Climbed into a waiting
Where
taxi.
was the curder?
She's
Sir,
alive.
the alarm! Irmgard Furchner slipped out of the nursing home.
The alert. Sure's Mercer.
Irmgard, earn the lures. Irmgard. We're fine.
She's bad, right?
Yeah.
She is fucking
Okay.
evil.
Kenyon started her segment by calling her this cunt. So I think we're good.
Yeah.
I just want a Mercer.
Fuck you, Irmgard.
Okay, so again, she's 96. She
What a
slips out
bitch.
from her nursing home where she'd been living for years, climbs into a waiting taxi, and headed to Hamburg's Norderstedt Mitte subway station. I don't know.
Where are we?
Germany.
Oh, okay.
Oh, you
Irmgard.
could have opened with that.
Straight up thought
was
this was in
funnier.
like Pennsylvania. Had no
Newark.
idea. Yeah, this is Newark, New Jersey,
Germany,
where Irmgard
Newark.
Furchner.
But this was not merely some end-of-life jaunt. Irmgard was now officially on the run.
Yes.
In just hours, she was due in court. Juvenile court, to be exact.
Wait.
What?
We'll get to it.
She was so old, she circled back.
96. That should be how it works.
Yeah.
Facing charges for her complicity in a murder case. Well, technically, her complicity in over 10,000 murder cases.
Nazi.
Okay, now it's tracking.
Yep.
Got it.
Following her attempted escape, the president of the criminal chamber issued a warrant for her arrest, and authorities were able... I keep wanting to go...
Just do it. Lean in. 30s.
were able to swiftly apprehend and arrest the nonagenarian. She was pretty easy to
not a
catch on
scent.
foot.
Yep.
Is that where Nona comes from?
9.
But the nickname Nona? Nona?
No.
I don't think
I
so.
think that is like grandma in Italian.
Stregonona.
I like it.
In light of her age and condition, Furchner was released from pretrial detention just 5 days later, but certain conditions were imposed to ensure that she wouldn't attempt to flee justice yet again. And her trial was briefly postponed to October 19th, 2021. So she literally went on the run the day of her trial and then was caught and brought back,
Yeah,
and then
well-
they rescheduled it.
And her trial might have been postponed, but her day in court was long fucking overdue.
Yes.
It's way beyond postponed.
Yikes.
But let's back up a bit. How did we get here? Irmgard Furchner was born...
When a man and a woman love each other very much, they make a baby and they look at her and they go, "That's our little Irmgard."
was born Irmgard Dirksen.
No.
I can't make it.
No, she fucking was not.
Irmgard Dirksen Furchner.
She sounds literally like,
Dirksen.
is it the Swedish chef?
On May 29th, 1924. That means she was just 8 years old when Adolf Hitler rose to power. I couldn't find much information about her childhood, so I can't confirm whether or not she was ever a member of the infamous Hitler Youth / the League of German Girls, which was the girl version of the Hitler Youth. But by 1939, over 82% of eligible children were enrolled, so it's most likely that she was.
God.
I don't know whether, for example, her parents were Nazi Party members. But what isn't up for debate is the fact that at the age of 18, Irmgard applied for and accepted a job as a shorthand typist at the Stutthof concentration camp. She worked there in the commandant's office from 1943 to the camp's liberation in 1945. And despite its very German-sounding name, Stutthof was actually located in northern Poland.
Occupied Poland.
Yeah. Built in 1939, shortly after Hitler's invasion of Poland, Stutthof was the first Nazi concentration camp outside of Germany. It was originally used to imprison Polish political leaders and intelligentsia, so it was part of a series of mass murders called the Intelligenzaktion.
Ew.
So literally before their invasion, the Nazis had drawn up a detailed list of prominent members of Polish high society. So
Like a hit list.
hit list
Yeah.
of politicians, teachers, priests, physicians, academics, anyone considered intelligentsia that they didn't think would come over to their side. And these social elites were identified as enemies of the Third Reich, and to prevent them from organizing against the occupation, Hitler ordered their mass persecution and eventual murder as item number 1 when they invaded, basically. So many of these leaders were taken to Stutthof shortly after the annexation and executed there by the SS, which I never knew what SS stood for. It stands for Schutzstaffel, which basically just means the paramilitary guard.
Yeah, there was there's a brewery in town that host motorcycle nights, and they had to like kick out and had an issue with a guy rolling up with fucking SS Nazi propaganda on his fucking motorcycle.
Yeah.
I knew that
It's fucked
SS
up.
was like his paramilitary, but yeah, I didn't know what it stood for.
Yeah. Right.
Schutzstaffel.
Shoots.
Not Stroopwafel. So
Thank
just-
God.
we don't
Not
need to mix.
stroopwafel.
We don't need to mix those up.
No.
You
Don't
can still enjoy your Stroopwafel.
Yes.
We are not canceling Stroopwafel, but we are going to
Never.
cancel Nazis.
Sure are.
Yeah.
Thought we had.
Hot take.
Guess that making
Yeah.
a comeback.
Thought we had.
Thought we'd wrapped that up.
They're
Yeah.
back on the ballot.
Jesus.
Stand
Speaking
back and
of
stand by.
Mhm.
Amanda, I just got a New York Times alert that your lover Mitt Romney is retiring.
What?
Mm-hmm.
We need you now more than ever, Mitt. The Republican Party is so hideous. There isn't a daddy in the bunch now. Ugh. Fine.
Okay, so she's 18 when she gets this job as a typist at this concentration camp in Poland. Okay? Not incidentally, from 1942 to 1943, around the time when Irmgard began her work there, the concentration camp underwent a significant expansion. 30 barracks were added to the original 8, and then a gas chamber and crematorium were added.
Jesus. Just the essentials. Fucking psychos.
Between September 2nd, 1939 and May 10th, 1945, 127,000 prisoners were registered as Stutthof detainees.
Wow. In that tiny place.
Yeah.
I mean, I know they expanded it, but like, it's not, you know.
well, they weren't all living there at the same time because
Well, no,
yeah.
but that's still a lot of people to go
Turnover.
through
To
that.
cycle
that
through it.
turnover. Yeah, to cycle
Yeah.
through in that amount of time. So it was probably fucking packed a lot of the time.
oh, it was, yes.
yeah.
Just horrible, horrific conditions.
Mhm.
When Soviet forces liberated Stutthof in May of 1945, about 100 prisoners remained to be rescued.
What?
Oh.
That's all that were left.
They were getting rid of them when they knew that the
So
Everything
that's
was
allies
coming to
were
an
coming.
end.
Yeah.
So, like, we're about to get to it, and like some did survive the quote unquote evacuation.
Sure.
We're about to get to it, but like these 100 were those few who had managed to hide rather than be either murdered last minute or forced to evacuate on the death marches along with the fleeing German army.
Damn.
So the Germans were like, they forced people on these fucking death marches because they wanted to hide the crimes that they had just committed, basically.
Right.
So Stutthof was located basically right on the Baltic Sea coast, and in the final days of the war before the camp was liberated, German officers forced many prisoners to walk into the sea,
Oh,
and
my
then
God.
they shot them.
Ugh.
Oh. It's very dramatic.
Yeah.
It's not like they're getting rid of anything.
Elder abuse is too much, though. So I'm glad
No, I know.
Yeah,
glad we went in this
steered
direction.
clear.
instead.
I know, but
You're putting a real damper on my good day.
I'm sorry. It gets worse.
It always
Ah!
fucking
You
does.
sucked down my caribou.
There are only a few constants: death, taxes, and it gets worse.
And
from
apparently
Kenya.
Nazis.
Some prisoners were forced onto boats and sent to other death camps in Poland or Germany in areas that like weren't immediately under like threat of liberation.
Mm-hmm.
And it has been estimated that 25,000 prisoners died just during the evacuation from Stutthof and its subcamps.
God.
Just
Yeah.
during these death marches.
Like a few days.
Yeah.
Ugh.
That's why those 100 people, like, they literally hid.
Right. To avoid
Yeah.
these inevitable.
Because somehow word had gotten to the camp that, like, the Soviets were, like, at the door. Like, they were coming. Like, liberation was about to happen. And they're like, if we can just hang on a little bit longer, we might actually make it through this.
What a fucking nightmare.
So 127,000 down to just 100.
Jesus.
It is unfathomable. But even this is considered to be a low estimate for this one camp. The real number of the camp's victims is believed to be much higher, as prisoners who were selected for immediate execution at arrival were never officially registered.
Oh, so when they split them into two groups, when they got off the
Right.
trains,
Yep.
the half of them weren't even booked.
Yep.
Oh my God.
Camp inmates were murdered by, quote, lethal injections of gasoline or phenol directly to their hearts,
Good God.
shot or starved. Obviously, like, so many died of, like, illness, disease.
Yep.
You know, they were, quote, forced outside in winter without clothing until they died of exposure. And then obviously the gas chamber. Just the fact that there are so many, like, young people today that don't know the realities of what happened during the Holocaust, or, like, somehow think that it is somehow up for debate whether it happened, is absolutely insane. Anyway. So we know that the Nazi death machine required a lot of willing cogs to run it. It's not easy to kill this many people in this short amount of time.
Without support.
Including, but certainly not limited to, 18-year-old Irmgard Furchner.
Oh,
fucking
the
Irmgard.
Irmgard.
That birch.
Irmgard Dirksen Furchner.
Ugh.
So according to some scholars, there were at least 200,000 perpetrators of Nazi-era crimes against humanity. But accountability for those crimes is a much trickier subject. Of course, many key Nazi figures didn't survive the war. So, like, Hitler, all the, like, real big names.
Yeah, there weren't that many big names left to see their day in international court.
Yeah, because they basically offed themselves in bunkers towards the end. Like, bye-bye. So Hitler, Goebbels, Himmler, Buhler, Bormann, like, they all died by suicide in the final days of the war. Sayonara. Still, others faced trial at Nuremberg, which is the most well-known of the post-World War II trials. But Nuremberg wasn't the only one, and many occupied countries conducted their own court proceedings focused on prosecuting concentration camp staff for the camps that were, like, within their borders.
Right.
So Poland, I believe, had the most number of concentration camps of any country. It had Auschwitz, it had Treblinka, and Stutthof. They held 4 trials in 1946 against former commanders and guards at Stutthof. These resulted in the execution of 11 defendants, because they got the death penalty, including the camp commander, Johann Pauls, and 20 or so other people were sentenced to prison terms. So 31 people
Great.
got some sort of penalty.
After all that.
For this camp. But yes, a
But
lot
even, like,
more
all
people
these-
were involved.
All these trials, like, what
Right.
could your possible defense be? If you worked there.
Well, we're about to get to one attempted defense. In general, though, the prison sentences handed down to these mass murderers were extremely light. During the Cold War, there was a movement to rehabilitate former Nazis in the interest of fighting communism. So by the early 1950s, many had already been released. So, like, some served, like, less than 10 years in prison for mass murder.
Jesus Christ.
And after the immediate post-war flurry of activity, about a decade after Nuremberg, the Nazi trials started to dwindle significantly. People just were, like, sick of conducting these trials. I don't know. Like, people just wanted to move on, I guess. But, like, which people?
Yeah, who gets to move on?
So the total number of convictions of Nazi war criminals to date has been vanishingly small compared to the crimes committed.
And now most of them are fucking dead, so we missed the window.
Well, we're basically at the very, very tail end of the window, because this this person was 18 when she started to commit her crimes, and
is now 94, 96, fleeing police,
Right.
basically.
So between 1945 and 2005, roughly 140,000 cases were brought to court But there have only been 6,656 convictions.
Mm-hmm.
Like, what?
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Fucking what?
Yeah. I mean, like, I'm sure a lot of them just, especially like post-war mayhem,
Mm-hmm.
they just kind of slipped away, and probably a lot of them got new identities and left.
Yep.
Mhm.
Went into hiding and built
And
new lives.
Went to South America.
And for a long time, it had to be like a lot of people who were just following orders were not prosecuted.
That's what I was just going to say. Like,
And then the people who gave the orders weren't prosecuted necessarily because they hadn't actually pulled the trigger. So it was
Right.
like this catch-22 of who is to blame. I guess no one.
yeah.
So there is still a trickle of prosecutions taking place up until today. However, some 78 years since the end of the war. Germany still maintains a federal authority for the investigation of Nazi crimes, a specialized body tasked with the examination and prosecution of former Nazi officers. After the conviction in 2011 of former Nazi death camp guard John Demjanjuk, which I think we've talked about on this show before, this guy.
Maybe. I never
It was a pretty
can
famous
remember
case.
anyone's names. Yeah.
That case basically in 2011 set the precedent that being employed as a concentration camp guard was sufficient evidence to prove complicity in mass murder. So they didn't have to prove exactly like who he
Who or
killed
what.
on what day. It
Yeah.
was like, you were a guard at this
You were
concentration
there, you were part of
camp.
it.
Like, you're part of it.
By definition, you were enforcing this.
Yep.
Right. So once that set that new precedent in 2011,
Oh, God.
a new spate of proceedings kicked off. So in 2018, additional trials began focusing on people charged with accessory to murder rather than crimes against humanity. Johann, I don't know how to say his last name. Regnogen?
Ragnar.
Like Regnoggin.
Regnogen. Admitted to working at a concentration camp, but claimed he was, quote, unaware that people were being murdered there.
Okay. I didn't know we made bread in this bakery.
Wait.
Yeah.
I never saw it.
Uh-huh.
Prove it.
God.
But he was 94 years old during the trial, and due to his health, court proceedings were limited to no more than 2 hours per day, 2 days per week.
Oh,
And
God.
disappointingly for his victims and their loved ones, the trial ended early after the defendant was declared unfit to stand trial. Because it took
and they,
so long.
know, they're fucking intentionally dragging it out. This is a tactic
What a
so that they
waste.
can get older and maybe a little loopier or straight up die.
Harvey Weinstein basically did this,
Yeah.
showing up to court looking like
Yeah,
death
this
warmed
isn't-
over.
This isn't new. Like, people have been doing this shit to manipulate the court system for fucking ever.
It's incredibly frustrating.
Yeah.
In
It's like,
2019, another Nazi camp guard, Bruno Day, was charged with contributing to the killings of 5,230 prisoners.
Jesus.
He worked as a tower guard at Struthof. Prosecutors had called for a 3-year sentence for the 93-year-old, but he was given 2 years probation. He's 93. What fucking good is probation?
Yeah.
Yeah. I mean,
You gotta
frankly,
stay at home. Okay.
frankly, jail isn't even really, like, at that age, it's like,
Yeah, they have to be cared for anyway.
yeah, you're gonna fucking die in there. Cool, bye. But you shouldn't be able to die in the comfort of your own home after what you've done.
I don't think
period.
so either. I feel like there needs to be, maybe it's a nursing home for these old ass Nazis and you
Yep.
take care of their physical health, but every single day they're required to like read what they've done. You know what I mean? Like read reports of.
Watch a PowerPoint.
Yeah. Something.
Talk to a Gen Z at length.
Defend
No.
yourself.
That'd be too cruel and unusual. No, I'm kidding. I'm kidding. All right. So
We're here to rehabilitate you, girl boss.
hey, girlies. Okay.
watch 1,000 TikToks a day. These elderly people going fucking crazy. Honestly, we should make an old people prison.
There would
Like
be
the three
ways.
of
It's our
us.
true calling.
So Irmgard Furchner's fucking trial, despite the fact that the defendant was 97 years old at the time, so she was 96 when she tried to escape, and then she turned 97 at trial,
How convenient.
was held in juvenile court because she had been under the age of 21 at the time of her alleged crimes.
There we
The
go.
judge is like, ma'am, you are in the
Oh, God.
wrong room.
Yeah, I know, but that's true for a lot of these folks.
Yeah.
Isn't that crazy? And then that
Yeah,
also
that is
means that
wild.
the possible sentences are also much, much lighter because they were juveniles.
Oh.
Well, she should be charged as an adult for fucking fleeing.
Yeah, that's true. I don't know
And
if they
add those
added those
charges.
charges. Yep, her defense attorneys tried to claim that she, quote, never knew the extent of what was happening at the camp throughout the 2 years that she worked there.
No.
But the prosecution made the case that her clerical work as a typist, quote, assured the smooth running of the camp. And
Yeah, so she had access to
she was
information.
typing all the memos.
Right. That, yeah, she's
She had access to the most information.
right.
She had a very top level understanding of what was going on.
There. That it was her job to transcribe all of that information.
It literally went through her brain, every detail.
And, quote, gave her knowledge of all occurrences and events at Struthof. And, honey, the prosecution brought the receipts.
Oh, good.
The prosecution called historian Stefan Hordler as an expert witness. He testified that between June and October 1944, 27 transports carrying a total of 48,000 people arrived at Struthof, and the Nazis used Zyklon B gas to accelerate their mass killings. So she was like
48,000 people? Or
Yeah.
there were 48,000 people total?
they're saying that there were these transports of this. I don't know if all 48,000 were killed, but a great number.
Okay, so it's not like they gassed 48,000 people
In
from
one
these trains.
Not that it fucking matters because
Yeah.
it's all shit.
No, but I'm wondering
like-
if it was just one instance, this 48,000, or if
Or
this was
over
the
time.
total number.
I think this historian was saying like this is the documentation we have for this one period of an example
When you worked there.
of how many transports were occurring in this number of months.
Got it.
And it fell under her clerical purview to be logging these
Right.
transports.
Right.
And so this all happened at the time she was working there.
Correct.
And here are the receipts of your documentation of it.
I'm
Right.
just wondering what the Zyklon B specifically had to do
she's
with
writing
this.
like she's a typist, so she's like
So-
ordering Zyklon B to be shipped
Right.
there.
So it's the prosecution being like, bitch, you knew because here's where you're writing down.
Mm-hmm.
Make sure we have enough Zyklon B for this incoming transport
Right.
of X amount of prisoners.
Right.
Mhm. Okay.
And over the course of your time doing that, there were 48,000 of these transports.
is
How the
just-
fuck did you not know?
This is just during June
That's what
to
I'm saying.
October.
Her job.
No, that's not
okay,
even
so not
her
even the full
whole
2
period.
years. Holy
This
shit.
is just a period where they have like specific, because a lot of papers and stuff were burned or whatever.
Of course.
So like this historian was like, we know that between June and October 1944.
When you worked there. Yeah.
This
Okay.
That's what I was asking for clarity on.
Damn.
In his testimony, Mr. Hordler even cited evidence from her own husband's testimony,
Ugh.
who in 1954 was a witness during a different person's trial, like a higher up's trial. And he stated in his testimony, quote, at the Struthof camp, people were gassed and the staff at the commandant's HQ discussed it.
Mm-hmm.
The historian accompanied the court's 2 judges on a site visit to the camp, which is now a museum, and you can,
Mm-hmm.
see. During this visit, it became evident that from her desk in the commandant's office, which was the central hub of the whole camp, Irmgard had a direct view.
Like out the window?
Yes! The historian was like, let me show you. This is the building. This is the HQ
I
building.
didn't know.
This is where her desk was. This is where the window was. This is what the window looked out onto.
my
She
God.
fucking saw it all.
Jesus.
Oh my God, this bitch.
Mm-hmm.
And also, like, you didn't think anyone would check, girly?
A lot of people got away with it and did not
Well,
get charged.
of course.
That's my favorite like type of evidence in a court case. It's like, no, this is, for example, this was your desk. This is what it looked out to.
See for yourself, jurors.
Or like some case that we did recently of the girls who it was the Innocence Project girls who were accused of killing that guy in the park. And there was like a witness testimony from a window, and they're like, "No, you couldn't even see it from your window."
From that window. Yeah, it's
Right,
like sometimes
right.
you have to go physically check.
Yeah, it's so simple, but it's so impactful. I love that.
It is.
Mm-hmm. So Furchner was silent for the first 40 days of her trial. As it neared its conclusion, she simply stated, quote, "I am sorry about everything that happened. I regret that I was at Strudhof at the time. That's all I can say."
Wow.
That is very measured.
That is completely devoid
Useless.
of any accountability or admission of
Responsibility.
Sorry, I was standing there at that time when this happened, is basically what that was.
I'm sorry that all of
I
that
sat at that
occurred,
desk.
but I
Yeah.
had nothing to do with it.
Sorry your feelings were hurt.
I'm sorry
Yeah.
if your feelings were hurt.
Mm-hmm.
On December 20th, 2022, Furchner was convicted of aiding and abetting the murders of 10,505 individuals. Which, like,
That
it was more than that,
bitch.
but, like, that's what they could really document.
Mm-hmm.
Her punishment was a 2-year suspended jail sentence.
Why? It's not because this is a juvenile court. I mean, it's in Germany, so I don't know that. But like,
I really think that a lot of it comes down to we don't want to have to care for the elderly in a prison.
A prison is not
I think
set
that's
up.
a huge
Like, even
part
a German prison is not set up to give a 97-year-old the type of round-the-clock care that...
Exactly.
then don't.
Exactly.
There, I said it.
I mean, there should... I disagree with it. I think there should be something in place so that when people skirt accountability for that long, they don't get to just...
I think they should be confronted. Like, obviously, she had to sit through the trial, but, like, I think she should have to basically be confronted with that stuff, basically sit in a trial-like state for the end of her days. She should not...
Yeah.
There has to be something.
Yeah, that's what I mean. It's like, we got to have some form of...
The whole dying in the comfort of your home thing is like...
She also got to, like,
There's no
cover her
justice.
face
Yep.
with a mask during trial.
Well, it's particularly heartbreaking considering she literally had a front row seat to the murder of so many people while she gets to live out the rest. Well, I'm assuming she's dead now, but got to live out the rest of her days. In the
I think
comfort
she's
of her
still
own home.
alive. She was convicted in 2022, December 2022. So
I suppose.
she could very well still be alive.
It just doesn't feel just,
No.
certainly.
So Joseph Salamanovich, a survivor of the camp who traveled to court to testify, which, like, that is fucking badass, was just 6 years old when his father was killed at Strudhof in September 1944. When he talked to reporters, he said, quote, "She's indirectly guilty, even if she simply sat in the office and stamped my father's death certificate."
Ooh, that gave me chills. Oh. Yeah, he's absolutely right.
Another Strudhof survivor, Manfred Goldberg, was disappointed with the sentencing's symbolic nature, acknowledging that a 97-year-old would not serve time in prison. He told the BBC, quote, "It's a foregone conclusion that a 97-year-old would not be made to serve a sentence in prison, so it could only be a symbolic sentence." Like, everyone basically knew that going in.
Yeah, she's not going to go to fucking jail, but at least we can force her.
Yeah, have a day in court.
Yeah.
So basically, in the aftermath of Hitler's defeat and the effort to rebuild, like, most of Europe, rather than putting Nazi mass murderers in jail and throwing away the key, Germany developed what is often called a culture of remembrance. So there are countless World War II memorials, big and small, throughout the country. German school children still, like, routinely visit memorial sites as part of their curriculum. Like, all of that is great. They do similar stuff in France as well. like it is required curriculum to for like school children of a certain age to like pick one victim of the Holocaust and like learn in depth their personal story and narrative, which I think is really great and compelling.
But they're making them feel bad for being German.
Yeah, well, that's probably the movement where it's like that's yes.
Yeah, I'm just
1000%,
comparing
yeah.
it to the shit that they're trying to
Absolutely.
pass today.
Yeah,
That's
it's fucking
exactly-
Feel bad
nuts.
for being white.
Yeah. Oh, so we'll just brush it all under the rug and say that I can't even go. It makes me so mad I can't even go there. Well, I go there in my notes. They, unlike the great state of Florida, do not shy away from their history and
Actually,
its horrors.
my next sentence.
I forgot about that. Still, it's hard not to see the lack of true accountability for individual Nazi criminals as anything but an abject failure. As for Irmgard Furchner's regret,
Regert. Irmgard's which sounds like really bad diarrhea. I'm sorry, you guys. I can't record
That'd
today.
be
I
a-
have Irmgard's regert.
Oh, no.
That'd be a good frozen yogurt shop.
No, it would not.
Frozen yogurt.
I don't want to go to a frozen yogurt shop named after a convicted Nazi war criminal, but thanks
And
for
her
the
regerts.
wreck. And her regerts.
no regret.
And her frozen regerts. God.
Anyway, I call bullshit. Number one, she volunteered for that job.
Yep.
She was not
She
drafted
applied.
into the army. Yeah.
She applied and then accepted.
Yeah.
Yep.
And then she stayed for 2 years plus, right up until the camp was about to be liberated and they had to flee
Which
the
is
Red
probably
Army.
the only reason she fucking left
Yeah.
the job.
She was comfy as fuck.
Mhm.
She fucking saw and knew everything that was going on there. Her job was literally to type up reports about it all, like we said.
Mhm.
Also, like, this is a quote. So she worked, again, she was like the secretary for the camp commandant. And he was convicted in 1955. So that's where the testimony from her husband came from.
Mhm.
And so one other witness at the commandant's trial testified that he had personally intervened to expedite the gassing murders of pregnant Jewish prisoners.
Oh
Jesus
my
Christ.
God.
So, like, she was typing up reports where it was like, we've made the strategic decision to make sure
Right.
that in the first line of gassing, it's these people.
Mhm. Yeah, she knew.
And if it's a shorthand thing, like she was a shorthand
And she
typist.
super knew because she essentially had to translate it into a shorthand
Exactly.
language.
Yep.
Yeah. If that's how it was done, like a court stenographer.
Yeah.
I'm sure
But
it was.
either way-
It went from like spoken word and written
Mhm.
memos to shorthand
Mhm.
transcriptions.
Yep.
Mhm.
After World War II, Irmgard fucking married an SS squad leader that she met at the camp.
Oh my God.
Cool.
Meet cute.
His
Holy shit.
Yeah.
It's really gross.
yeah.
Oh,
They literally
my
met at a
God.
concentration camp, working, both of them, murdering people. His name was Heinz Furchstam, and he later changed his name to Furchner, most likely in an attempt to whitewash his own Nazi past and evade justice for his own crimes, and he died in 72.
Is that the same guy that testified in that
Yeah.
trial in the 50s? And then they stayed together?
They said they were married up until his death in 72.
Mm.
And she literally tried to escape before her own trial, which the
Yep.
max consequences would have been a symbolic slap on the wrist. But
Right.
even that was too much for her.
Mm-hmm.
And she fucking lodged an appeal.
Oh.
I think if you don't have the stamina for prison, then you don't have the stamina to lodge an appeal. Sorry. Bye. You're already not fucking... You already don't have to do anything. You have no consequences.
Well, she wants to protect her good fake name.
Yeah.
Yes. Not even. Oh my
Yeah.
God.
That is so fucking... Like, talk about just absolutely salting the wound.
Yeah. Jesus Christ.
Cool.
So anyone in a nursing home could be an old ass war criminal, just saying.
You never know who you're
Anyone.
sleeping next to. You never know.
Wow. Thank
Great.
you for lightening the mood and not
Yeah.
talking about elder abuse, but
Yeah,
just talking
yeah.
about the
Appreciate it.
Holocaust instead.
Yeah.
This bitch. Are you ready for my case?
Yes.
If it doesn't have anything to do with the Holocaust, yes.
It doesn't.
Okay.
Okay.
But I mean, I don't know if maybe this woman is also a Nazi. It wouldn't
Anyone
surprise
can
me.
be a war
but
criminal.
I'll take
Anyone can be a war
it.
criminal.
I'll take my chances.
Let me just start by saying that this woman has the wettest, and not in a good way, name
What?
I have ever heard.
The wettest
Just listen to how,
name?
yes, listen to how just wet this sounds. Elizabeth Tracy May Wetlaufer.
Ooh.
It sounds very wet.
Well,
and
you
not
got
just
the
because
word
it says
wet.
Wetlaufer. I don't know. It just comes off as really wet to
It's
me.
a lot. It's a lot. Elizabeth
It's gross.
Tracy May.
Elizabeth Tracy May Wetlaufer
That's not a great name.
is a Canadian woman who was born June 10th, 1967, a Gemini, who was raised in Zora, Ontario. This is a super rural
Irmgard Furchner.
rural community, rural juror. And she had a strict fundamentalist Baptist upbringing that continued into her college years as she enrolled in London Baptist Bible College in the mid-80s.
No.
Correct. After graduating with whatever fucking degree you can get from Bible college, she enrolled in a Conestoga college to attain her nursing license, because what the fuck can you do with Bible college? And no,
That's so
I don't
true.
feel bad ragging on this at all.
I don't either. It should be, it's like if you want to go to a Bible college, by all means, but
Great.
then you graduate with a degree in Bible studies.
Bible. Yep.
Well,
You don't
does it
figure out what you
graduate
do with it.
with a universally applicable degree.
Is it just like a Christian school, like a Catholic school?
I don't
They're
know.
like super
Because
Christian
There are
universities,
specific Bible colleges
Yeah.
that are not just like a Catholic
but
university.
you can still be like a communications major.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
I don't know.
Bible.
It's just the
No.
emphasis in her background was very much on the religion, the Bible college.
Bible college.
Mhm.
Bible college accreditation.
Yeah. Anyway, it doesn't matter.
I
The
don't
reason
trust
I will not feel bad ragging on this specifically in this case is because Wetlaufer had struggled as a child. She was bullied and she was questioning her sexuality. And when she tried to come out to her family as gay, her parents literally said, "No, you can't be a lesbian," because of their affiliation with the church.
Mm-hmm.
And sent her to conversion therapy. So this was like all this
terrible.
poor girl knew. So of course she's going to fucking go to Bible college.
Yeah.
I just, the whole thing
Trauma.
makes me want to fucking throw up. And anyway, so she went to conversion therapy. She went to Bible college. She ended up right out of Bible college. She married a long haul trucker and they were together for 11 years and he was on the road constantly and they didn't have any children.
Well, yeah, she probably was
She's
like,
gay.
Yup.
Yeah.
Yeah, precisely. So she's like, I'm just going to
great, he's
get
not
married
around very often.
to someone who's
can
never home
live
so
in
that my
peace.
fucking Christian community will just get off my nut about.
Sounds
Being
great.
gay.
That was a good loophole.
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, I'm down. This is all incredibly heartbreaking. It's clearly responsible for her developing serious mental health issues and substance use disorder, but it does not by any means absolve her of her insidious crimes. As we say, your mental health is not your fault, but it is your responsibility.
Yeah.
And so it doesn't mean that she's not a shit person just because she was treated like shit.
Right.
But it just means be cautious who you treat like shit, because
Or don't treat people like shit, because
That's
then
what I
shit
mean.
will just perpetuate.
yeah, shit perpetuates shit.
Mm-hmm.
So
Although not
just keep that in
everyone
mind.
who has been dealt shit will
Of course not.
commit shit,
Of course not.
as we all know. Continue.
Yeah. It's just don't treat people like shit,
Yeah.
period.
Would be great.
Because, like, in rare occasions, you can end up with this situation. So, Elizabeth Wet landed a job
Liz
with
Wet. Beth Wet.
Liz.
like
She
a
did
Beth
go by
Wetter.
Beth. She did go by Beth.
She's Beth Wet.
She did go by Beth. Beth Wet.
She wet her Beth.
She wet.
Yep.
She wet the Beth.
Definitely wet the Beth.
Oh, no.
So she landed a job with a place called Crescent Care, which kept autocorrecting to Crescent Care because Crescent in the way that they use it isn't a fucking word. And can we stop naming companies this so that I can then read my fucking notes later and not be confused? I'm fine. It's day 1 of my period. I'm very annoyed by that. This is a long-term care facility for the elderly near her hometown. She was well liked there. She did a fine job. She was professional. She seemed to really care about her patients and the surrounding staff. And one of her main responsibilities included distributing medications to residents.
Ooh.
You know exactly where this is going.
Yeah.
Not long after establishing herself there, her coworkers started to notice odd behavior and suspected Beth Wetlaufer was showing up to work drunk or under the influence of drugs, some of which she was suspected of stealing from the facility.
Maybe she was just tired.
Maybe. Overworked. I mean, all of the above could be true.
Maybe she was pregnant and has been seeing
not
things.
pregnant. She was not pregnant. Okay, so she was suspected of stealing drugs from the facility. She had access to the locked pharmacy for med distribution as part of her job. Things were glaringly obvious that there was like a big old problem when a colleague discovered her completely passed out during an overnight shift and struggled to wake her up. And before Lucy goes
Maybe
there,
she's just pregnant.
it wasn't just an oops, I nodded off situation. It was like hard to wake her back up. She was clearly under the influence of something.
It was an oops, I'm nodding off because I'm taking opiates situation.
A little bit, probably.
Got it.
So this incident got her written up, but she was allowed to return to work.
No. God damn it.
The behavior did seem better after disciplinary action, but not completely remedied. And then some other weird shit started happening. Sorry, a burp.
Ghosts?
I wish. Sadly, no ghosts.
I was promised ghosts in Kenyon's segment.
I
Ghouls.
never promised a single
I said
ghost.
real life ghouls.
Oh.
You hear what you want to hear. That doesn't mean we said any of that.
I just want ghosts.
I know, but this was not the one. So she was suspended 4 times for, quote, medication-related errors, which from what I gathered meant she was not only giving patients the wrong medication, but also possibly caught dipping her own hand in the company's
shortchanging the meds.
Yeah, exactly.
Yep.
Giving them ibuprofen and she was taking the good shit.
The good stuff. Yeah.
Schedule
so
1.
patients
Old
patients
people
at the
get
facility,
the good stuff too.
Yeah.
they're supposed to, but if she's stealing it,
All right, that's what I'm saying.
then they're not getting it. So patients at the facility that she worked started to pass away with some regularity, but the fact of the matter was they were old, and families and the colleagues in a lot of cases believed that the causes of death were natural. And despite med mix-ups, Wetlaufer wasn't or couldn't be directly connected to these deaths at the time. No one's ordering autopsies.
Yeah.
Because they're not going to take on that expense unless a family is like asking for that.
Right.
And then if the family wants it, the family's paying for it, not the care home.
Right.
So if the family is assuming it was a natural death because their loved one is old, they're not asking for autopsies and the care home isn't going to fucking
she
order
can just
them.
get
The
away
care
with it in
home-
perpetuity.
The care home doesn't want there to be an issue on their hands.
Of course not.
If she had just held her shit together better, she probably never would have been caught.
Oh, it's funny that you say that
Oh my God.
because she truly would never have been caught. Even without her shit being held together. So a serious incident, quote unquote, occurred in 2014. I can only assume another resident death that was sus enough to take action, resulting in her firing from Crescent Care. And like we've seen in other medical cases, like with systemic hospital angel of death type shit, it didn't mean that she had any scars on her record. Like she was able to get another job at a new facility.
Yeah,
and
they didn't want to ruin their own reputation, and so they quietly fired her.
and gave glowing recommendations.
Great.
So from the Washington Post, quote, Elizabeth Wetlaufer arrived for her first day of work as a nurse at the Meadow Park nursing home in 2014 with glowing references.
Oh.
So she was fired from Crescent Care in 2014. Probably just a few months later, now she's at Meadow Park.
Yeah.
And glowing references after being suspended 4 times and fired, caught passed out on the job, and likely caught stealing meds and patients dying under her care. So maybe just don't write a reference at all.
Yeah.
You don't have to write a glowing reference. Maybe just don't write a reference.
Yeah.
Yeah, what was the motivation for the glowing references?
Just
hand her off to somebody else.
keeping
and
suspicion off of them so they don't get sued.
Precisely.
Yeah, I guess. Oof.
So this goes on to say she was well-liked. They said a good worker who loved to mentor and teach. Nothing revealed that Wetlaufer had been disciplined several times for incompetence, maltreatment of residents and colleagues, and medical errors. Her supervisors did not indicate that she had been fired for administering insulin to the wrong patient.
Well, that could fucking kill ya.
Oh, shit.
While still working at the new facility, her substance use disorder escalated, and she checked herself into the Center for Addiction and Mental Health, CAMH.
Oh, I bet some of the errors were because she was just fucked up.
Probably. Well, some of them.
Like
but
some of them, like the insulin one, it's not like she's benefiting from, unless she's like a psycho.
Unless she's killing the
Unless she's
residents.
an angel of death. Is she an angel of death? Okay, never mind. Okay, never mind.
in Toronto. While in treatment, she, quote, gave a chaotic account of several elderly patients who died in her care that left the psychiatric team at her mental health facility confused and alarmed. One of the treatment techniques used at the center that she was getting rehab in was journaling, and what Wetlaufer revealed in her journals was extremely alarming. From Oxygen.com. Wetlaufer said that in September of 2007, this is when she first started working at Crescent Care, she got the urge to overdose 84-year-old James Silcox, who she claimed had been inappropriate.
Ooh.
Which, like, what 84-year-old man isn't inappropriate?
Right.
That doesn't mean we can kill him. You can hate him, but you can't kill him.
Right.
She wrote a similar entry about taking the life of 84-year-old Maurice Granat.
She likes the 84-year-olds.
I guess. Wetlaufer also detailed the final moments of other seniors who were under her care between 2007 and 2014.
Was somebody just like,
Beth
Wet, these journals in rehab
Excuse?
are not
Yo, Beth.
privileged.
Yeah. This ain't it, honey.
This isn't patient-client privilege situation. You just admitted to murder.
And frankly, even if it was, you have a duty to report. So it's like, you done fucked up. Even if she had told just like her medical doctor this, they're supposed to tell on you.
Yo, Beth.
You really didn't. You didn't do it right.
Honey.
Is this your journal, huh?
Honey, no. It's got your name on it, Beth. It's in your locker. So CAMH staffers were unsure if Wetlaufer's account was real or just rantings, but reported them to authorities. So they did what they were supposed to do. Rob Hagerman, now a retired detective inspector with the Ontario Provincial Police, was assigned the case after they reported this. On the heels of this confession, she also resigned from her job. And after her confession seemed to be confirmed as legitimate, she was taken into the police for questioning. During questioning, she admitted to injecting James Silcox, 84, at Crescent Care with enough insulin to directly cause death on August 11, 2007, and said this was, and said this was her first time doing it. Mm-hmm. He was a World War II veteran and father of 6.
84, also pretty young.
Yeah, not that old.
Mm-mm. Yeah. At this facility, she killed 6 more patients using the same method. Maurice Mo Granat, 84, Gladys Millard, 87, Helen Matheson, 95, Mary Zerwinski, 96, Helen Young, 90, cute name for someone who's 90, but God bless. Mm-hmm. Maureen Pickering, 79. And while at Crescent Care, she also injected Michael Priddle, 63, and Wayne Hedges, 57, with intent to murder.
Jesus
It's very likely
Christ.
they were there under the same circumstances that like my dad was for a rehabilitative thing that they likely were not going to stay there forever. So this she tried to kill them, but they survived.
This is all with the old insulin trick.
Yep.
Oh,
that
so
was
she
her.
was a fucking angel of death.
Yep. She wasn't just mixing up people's meds. She was intentionally injecting people. She was also definitely stealing meds to do drugs, but it wasn't an just, oops.
Which is bad enough.
Yeah.
Yeah.
After leaving After leaving Crescent Care, she had a part-time job with Meadow Park facility, but also made house calls. Until she checked herself into rehab, she managed to kill Arpad Horvath, 75, at Meadow Park, and injected Sandra Towler, 77, with intent to murder at a retirement home in Paris, Ontario, and Sandra survived. And also injected Beverly Bertram, 68 years old, with intent to murder at a private residence in Ingersoll, Ontario. And Beverly also survived. So she killed 8 people, but she injected a lot of people. Yeah.
How did they figure out that she did all this?
She confessed.
Oh, she confessed. Because
she confessed to everything. And then everything matched up.
Because it's really hard to prove later the insulin injection stuff.
Yeah, but basically just like her confession and the timeline of everything. And we'll kind of get to that too, how they confirmed it, but she gave it all up. And had she not, no one would have known.
Wow.
If she hadn't said anything, she would have kept on working. She probably could have done this most of her life if she wanted to.
Wow.
And here's where I triggered myself, because as I was writing this, I'm just like, I just want to point out that this is not a peaceful way to die.
She's not just like letting old people fall asleep, and
No.
not that that's good, okay either, but like
It's not. But like as a type 1 diabetic, I've experienced extreme low blood sugar that has almost resulted in hospitalization. And the symptoms are really fucking scary. Like they include anxiety, panic, scrambled cognition, partial paralysis, seizures, overheating, full body sweats. Like you can barely see, like your vision is all fucked up. And like I've been in a situation where I had severe low blood sugar and I literally told Bill, I think I'm dying, call 911. Cause like I thought I was actively
just, like,
dying.
terror and confusion.
Yeah, because you are dying. Like
So-
your body can't function without glucose. So every alarm bell in your entire body is telling you like you're dying in these situations.
So insulin suppresses the glucose production?
Correct.
Okay.
Well, and it's not even like production. Insulin is what breaks down glucose. Like
so all
in
the
your
glucose is destroyed. You don't have any to run on.
pretty much. Like
okay.
it's just if you have too much insulin, then you have a way too little glucose, and like your entire body, all of your organs run on that.
So diabetics need either insulin or sugar to balance out.
It's a constant balance all the time.
Okay.
And your body does naturally create, and like your organs will also release glucose, like your liver releases glucose. So like you do have to be constantly on top of keeping your glucose from spiking too high. But like high blood sugar has more devastating long-term effects, like my dad losing his foot or like blindness, etc. But the low blood sugar, that's the immediate emergency.
Right.
Like if your blood sugar is really low, you could die.
Right.
And clearly
Right.
all of these people did.
Wow. Okay.
So it's just like, it's very scary. It's very panic inducing. I've definitely woken up very rarely, but it has happened to like EMTs giving me glucagon, which I want to remind everyone, if you're diabetic, make sure your at-home glucagon isn't expired, because that can happen. But it's fucking terrifying.
Yeah.
So you don't just like get low blood sugar and not know that it's happening and peacefully pass out and drift off to sleep. Like your body goes into panic mode,
And
screaming
she
at you
was
to get food in
probably
your system.
Standing there watching this happen, and on some level
Probably.
getting off on it.
Ugh.
Yep. So that was like really fucking scary to think about. It's horrible. This next portion is from Wikipedia and the Washington Post, and it's just fucking creepy. So in her confession, Wetlaufer admitted that she, quote, knew the difference between right and wrong, but she was visited by surges that she could not control. She said God or the devil or whatever wanted me to do it. After one murder, she felt, quote, the surging. She would call it the red surge.
Ooh.
And then heard her own laughter afterwards. Which was really, it was like a cackling from the pit of hell, end quote. Wetlaufer told police that. She also told police that she had tried to stop killing and that she had told friends, a former partner, and her pastor what she had done, but no one took her seriously.
Come
the fuck?
on.
As a side note, I also read that she had told a lawyer who urged her to keep it a secret. I can't confirm that, but I did read that in another article.
I think pastors they're not
I don't think-
they're not mandatory reporters, but
They're
like
not mandated reporters.
yes, but like I
You
actually
have a moral and ethical obligation.
Of course.
I think.
I asked my priest directly this one time during one of my RE classes. I said, if somebody confesses in confession that they've murdered someone, do you have to say? And he's like, that's what God would want you to do. Yeah.
Yeah, but you're not, like you said, they're not a mandated
It's not
reporter. They
legally
don't have-
mandated, but
yeah.
it's like, it's pretty fucked up that they didn't.
It's pretty fucked up. During the police interview, she described the laughter not as audible laughter, but as a feeling within her chest. And she would like visually use her hands to show what she meant. While the feeling prompting her to overdose and subsequently kill as coming from her stomach region. Wetlaufer never claimed to derive pleasure from the killings, stating that she
just
felt
did.
horrible. I know.
No, you just described pleasure.
Yep. Stating that she felt horrible after murdering each victim, but had also said when she felt what she called the red surge come over her, she would kill.
Red surge. That's so creepy.
And that she felt
The
a
book
feeling
title
of...
writes itself.
It's very
I know, right?
menstrual.
Yeah, it is. And each death, she said, brought a feeling of euphoria.
Yeah.
So, like, I don't know how else you would say that you're getting pleasure out of it. I can't. When asked about an elderly resident who died under her watch, Wetlaufer said, I got the feeling inside that it was his time to go.
It
But that's
literally
fucking bullshit.
wasn't, and
Yep.
you made it.
Mm-hmm. Commissioner Eileen E. Gillies, G., who worked on this case, said, quote, when Wetlaufer committed the offenses, the victims were still enjoying their lives and their loved ones were still enjoying time with them. It was not mercy to harm or kill them.
Especially
They weren't
that,
on their
like,
deathbed.
50-some-year-old guy.
Yes, you tried to kill a 57-year-old man
And
who
even
was
with the
probably
older
there for
people,
temporary
it's like-
rehabilitation.
Like Zach's grandma's 93.
She's still crushing it.
Yeah, she got to meet her great granddaughter. Like
She is a joy with her greeting
she
cards.
is an absolute fucking joy. Remind
Yep.
me to tell you about the latest card. It is priceless.
Okay, great. I need it. But the investigation couldn't begin and end with just her confession alone, especially because she made these statements while committed to a mental health facility. And while police believed the validity of her claims and all the timelines added up, they needed everything they could to make sure this would all hold up in court. So basically, it was like actual disciplinary record of like what she had been caught mixing up and fucking around with was part of this. Also, a look at her computer revealed multiple searches of her victims and searches into insulin overdose. And she was it was enough. She was
Yeah.
formally charged with the 8 murders that she had confessed to on October 25th, 2017, and charged with an additional 4 counts of attempted murder and 2 counts of aggravated assault on January 13th, 2017. She waived her right to a preliminary hearing. She confessed to all the charges in court on June 1st, 2017.
Interesting.
I think she had hit a point where once it was out, she was like, she clearly wanted to tell someone.
Yeah.
She committed herself into a psychiatric facility for both her mental health and for her substance use disorder.
Yeah, interesting.
Told all.
Yeah.
They reported her, told all to the police. I think she had just hit a wall and was like, I've got to get it out. This is probably part of why I feel so
It's
fucked
very
up.
weepy voiced killer in a way.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I
I
can't,
can't stop
Totally.
killing someone.
Mm-hmm.
I just love the way that he phrased that. It's really creepy.
very awkward.
Absurd. It's so awkward. So on June 26th, she was sentenced to 8 concurrent life terms in prison with no possibility of parole for at least 25 years. She entered prison at 50 years old, and it's very likely that she will die there.
Especially
When
if
this
a
went-
guard thinks it's her time.
Exactly. Mercy. When this went public, people were understandably outraged, mostly because nobody would have fucking known if she hadn't come forward herself.
Yeah.
People in higher positions at these facilities were clearly trying to protect their own necks and their own wallets and not putting patient care 1st, despite Wetlaufer's colleagues raising concerns about her since 1995, the year she began her nursing
And
career.
she confessed in what, 2014?
Yeah. Yep.
Jesus
Or
Christ.
2016, she confessed.
Oh my God.
Can you imagine like reading about this in the newspaper and like your parent had been in that nursing home.
Oh, I would have been terrified.
And there's nothing you can do about it.
Pretty much. I mean, the fact that she at least went away for all of the people that she confessed to killing is great, but like, we don't know if there are more, though I suspect there aren't because she did confess to a lot. So like, what would be the point of not confessing
She might
to
have
everyone?
forgotten some of their names.
But she could have forgotten some. I mean, it's just like Lucy said, there's really no solid way to go back and investigate everyone that maybe died under suspicious circumstances in her care.
In a nursing home.
Right. So we really just have to take her word for it, which is fucking a hard pill to swallow.
Yeah.
Quote, the evidence in this inquiry shows that nothing would have triggered an investigation into Wetlaufer or the incidents underlying the offenses, said Commissioner
she never would have
Gillies.
been caught.
Commissioner G. This finding, she said, is significant because it tells us that to prevent similar tragedies in the future, we cannot continue to do the same things in the same ways in the long-term care system.
Because imagine how many people are doing it now.
It's just like that guy, that nurse.
In England.
No, there's
one in England. There's one at I covered him. He worked in hospitals all over like New Jersey and Pennsylvania.
There's a really good documentary and a really good
Eddie Redmayne.
Yeah, Eddie Redmayne.
The Good Nurse.
Yeah.
Forgetting the name.
Is that the Dr. Death guy?
No.
The movie's called The Good Nurse.
Yeah, Dr. Death is a whole different guy.
Right, but it's just so much of the problem, obviously, is the individual who is harming people, but the system protecting them because they don't want to have to take responsibility and have it come back on them and affect their bottom line.
It kind of, again, goes back to the privatization.
So I guess the only decent thing to come from this was the launch of a full-scale inquiry headed by Commissioner G into Ontario's care system. And part of the overhaul includes calls to strengthen the management of medications at long-term care homes, bolster background and reference checks for prospective employees, and increase funding for nursing staff when necessary so that there are like more resources and nurses so things don't slip through the cracks like that.
Yes, certain things should not just be up to the facility whether or not to include in someone's reference. It should have to be like mandated, like if you're caught doing a specific
disciplinary record has to be included.
Right.
Yeah, but then it's like, all right, if disciplinary record has to be included, then I guess we're just not going to
write it down.
Keep disciplinary record. It's like, it's just, like Lucy said, until the privatization issue is addressed, they will always have a reason to want to protect their bottom line.
The incentives are just not lined up.
Exactly. As for holding higher-ups in these care homes responsible for their obvious covering up to save their own asses, I couldn't find anything indicating that they were held responsible. So until the system no longer operates to put profit or funding over people, these issues are gonna continue. We've seen it before. We've covered cases like this before. We will cover cases like this again. Another reason privatized healthcare. And this is in Canada, where it's like it's not the same structure of healthcare
but it's
as it is here.
Flawed.
But it's still flawed. They still operate under like a capitalist democracy.
And it's not just healthcare, it's the nursing homes.
Right. So, I mean, it's just like, yeah, I don't know. The line just seems pretty clear to me where you can trace
accountability.
Yeah, exactly. It's really fucking sad. Anyway, great episode pick, Lucy.
Yeah.
I liked the alliteration.
Can we do what's next on the docket? Oh, also dark. Well,
oh God.
Maybe we should switch 342 and 341.
Let's discuss this when we're done recording.
Okay, love you all.
We're
Bye.
done.
Bye.
Bye-bye.